Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of two things. I actually had reviewed first the P1, but then in the meantime, before I actually published the P1's review, the P1 Plus, mind you, I received this little baby here, the Tri TK2 USB DAC amplifier. So I decided to kind of basically just redo the whole review and publish it only now. Anyway, P1 Plus. Follow up to the P1. I'll just go through quickly here. The box comes in a nice presentation, opens up, the IEMs come over there themselves, brings this case, which I'll show to you in a second. Plenty tips, no issues there, that's it. So as I was saying, this is a follow-up to the P1, which I never heard it, I never got it, I never reviewed it. So my opinions will be based solely on what I heard on the P1 Plus, sorry, and on maybe one or two opinions of people which I consider knowledgeable enough to actually take into account their opinion. Anyway, as for the IEMs themselves, basically the cable, from what I understand, is an improvement over the original cable. It's a nice cable, it's plenty soft, no issues. The IEMs themselves are exactly the same, there's no change over there. I'm using these foam tips because these were the foam tips that these are T400s, which are the ones that actually fit me the best, and I was able to get the sound that I like the best out of. Anyway, to continue with what I'm talking about, the P1 Plus. It's a follow-up to the P1, which was an IEM that was tailored for very specific crowd. It had an early roll off of the bass. It had a ruler flat response, basically, with only a little bit of an elevation above 8K. There was some elevation there, peak, and then another elevation past 10K. But basically, it was ruler flat. Super detailed in terms of really doing justice to the whole planar ideology, but because of its flatness, it had a very particular sound which you either liked or you didn't like. I've now got the P1 Plus, and I've compared the graphs of the P1 Plus with the P1, and the real difference that I see is a little bit more of bass on the P1 Plus, which apparently is a mod that many people did on the P1. So they actually blocked the vent, and by blocking the vent, that gave it basically the same bass response as now the P1 Plus has. Although in the P1 Plus the vent is not blocked, you can see here the vent is not blocked, so it means that the tuning was redone. The mids, they are more or less the same. These ones have a slightly more laid back mids as compared to the original. But then there's more energy around 7, 8, 9K on these ones as compared to the original. So there's more presence. Again, I cannot attest to how much more it is compared to the original ones in terms of listening and feeling the difference, but there is a little bit more. Personally, and what I heard, I liked it. I did not dislike any. Well, let me get that out of the way. I like the sound of the P1. It is not my cup of tea in terms of what I would listen to, no, but I like the sound. I can see where they're coming from. I like it. It's super detailed, super technical. I did not like the treble sometimes. I found the treble sometimes to just be, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say artificial. Okay, I just felt that it was just it didn't sound real. But overall, I like the sound of the P1 Plus. I think it's a very well executed IEM. I mean, like I said, there's not much I can say in terms of bass and mids and treble, because bass is very flat. It's got enough bass, let's put it that way, for what I listen to. Mids are amazing. The mids, yes, I have to give it kudos. It is absolutely amazing in the mid range. And the highs, apart from that little slight like I said, artificial feeling sometimes. They are fine as well, super airy. You really get that planar feeling from them, but there's no doubt about it. To power them, I didn't really have an issue. I mean, I used the TK2, so I guess that's more than enough power. But I also used my Qdelix. Where is it? Actually, here it is. I used my good old faithful Qdelix, and no problems with that. This is actually already the newer model, the one using the 9819 chip, which in all honesty is exactly the same as the 9818. It's exactly the same thing, people. They didn't let us down, or they didn't downgrade or anything of the sort. All the goodness and all the good things that the Qdelix had, they've kept it. The versatility of what it offers in terms of its features, the amazing parametric equalizer, everything. I'm sorry about that's off. It's off. Some alarm was going off there. The parametric equalizer, which is amazing. In that respect, this thing is honestly, I think, one of the hidden gems out there. The software that they have done for this is absolutely amazing. I really hope that one day they will do something a little bit bigger, and I'll definitely be there to purchase it. Anyway, I used this and I used the Tri. So there was no issues with power. Apparently the original P1s were way more power hungry, and well, like I say, I can't really confirm or disconfirm that. It is what it is. As compared, and I only did one comparison, to be honest. Well, I did more, but for this purpose I only did one comparison, which is with our timeless. I mean, I just had to put this box here because this carrying case is really a work of art, really truly special. I compared it with timeless, and I mean, those that follow me know what I think about the timeless. Timeless is undeniably one of my favorite IEMs. It is a tremendous IEM. A completely different tune to the P1. Let's get it P1 Plus. Let me say things properly. So it's a completely different tune to the P1 Plus. This is kind of a harmony-ish kind of signature. So it's got bass, which is amazing. It's fast, it's clean, it's textured. The mids are amazing as well. Excellent highs. Everything about the tuning on the timeless screams smoothness and easy listening and being pleasurable and being versatile, while the tuning on the P1 Plus is very much tailored again to a specific crowd of people. I guess if you started equalizing it, you will start maybe improving on certain aspects. It might be a little bit laid back. You could get a little bit more bass in there and so on and so forth. But I think equalizing is always like the kind of the last resort, and should only be done when an IEM really deserves it, which I've done it in the past. And mind you, I also tried it here on the P1, but for the sake of this review, I tried to gather my opinion and convey my opinion on what is the IEM in its standard format as it comes. So in terms of versatility of music that you can listen to, undeniably the timeless takes the win. Undeniable. Way more versatile. You can listen to every genre of music, while over here you'll probably do well with only specific genres. You'll probably do well maybe with a little bit of rock. You'll do well with some orchestral music, some kind of, more relaxed, not overcomplicated, or not overcomplicated, but over demanding, for example, in terms of the bass response. Especially vocals on the P1 are tremendous, so anything that's vocal as well, it will do well. The timeless, on the other hand, like I just said, no, it's more versatile. I mean, you can listen to EDM, you can listen to rock, you can listen to whatever you want. It's basically going to do it well. It's going to do everything well. Power wise, the timeless is also much easier to drive. Of course, it benefits from having a DAC amplifier or dongle or something of the sort, but you can connect it to your phone and it will work. In terms of technicalities, I mean, the timeless for me surprised me from day one at how big the sound is. It's got a huge sound stage, in my opinion. Huge. The technicalities, the imaging, the tonality, the timbre, all of that. Some are better, some could do with a little bit of improvement. I mean, imaging is fine, it's perfect. Detail retrieval, if I'm going to nitpick, yes, it sometimes could be slightly better here and there. The timbre and the tonality, I think, are spot on. I mean, we must never forget one thing: we are talking about a $200 planar, which in its own is already something to be like, wow, how'd they do it? As compared to the technicalities of the P1 Plus, I found the soundstage here to be smaller. Honestly, that's just my opinion. Imaging, I found it as equal. I found the detail retrieval in here to be superior to the timeless. And in terms of timbre and tonality, I like more the timbre and tonality on the timeless again. I just find this to be, to my liking and to my music library, too thin in terms of the bass to actually give that lushness that I like to listen to. I mean, I listen to stuff like, for example, Will Downing, I listen to Carl Duboc, I listen to Chelly Minucci, I listen to Donati, I listen to Larry Carlton, and all of these, they've got very, very specific characteristics, and the timeless in that aspect is a better IEM. I mean, Aaron Neville, Jesse J, Yellow, even Diana Krall, all of these. I found personally that the timeless just is able to play back those things in a way that is more pleasurable to me. If it's absolutely being faithful to the original or not, that is secondary. I believe well, that's my opinion. I mean, as long as I like the way it plays, and it doesn't sound wrong in terms of being overemphasized in a bad way, then that's fine by me. It's got my approval. So I'm not gonna say that the timeless is superior to the P1 Plus. I'm just gonna say that it depends what you're looking for. If you like a more laid back, more super detailed sound, that perhaps then you will play around with some EQ to get a little bit more out of it if you so desire, or if you listen to something which you think requires it, then yes, the P1 Plus is the choice. It also has the fact that it has a lower price than the timeless, going for it about $150, $160 as opposed to around $200 for the timeless. If you want an IM that just plays well right out of the box with the tips that it brings, and it will satisfy you easily, then definitely the timeless. So it's not a question of one is better than the other, it's a question of what do you prefer personally, okay? And I think that about just covers it for these two. As for the TK2, what can I say? Well, we already know some of the characteristics. It's got balanced and unbalanced outputs, balanced 2.5 and 4.4, unbalanced single-ended 3.5 mil. It's got two USB ports which allow separate charging and connection to whatever source you have. Build quality is, I mean, amazing. This thing is like a brick. If I throw this thing at somebody, I'll kill him, period. It's got a 5,000 milliamp battery, if I'm not mistaken, so plenty of here's actually the box. So it's got plenty of apparently 9 hours of playback capability. It accepts earphones or headphones between 8 and 600 ohms. It supports basically all the decoding formats that we have right now. It uses the 9038 DAC, and on the output it uses a mix of two op amps to enable it to work on Class A and Class AB amplification. In terms of power output, it's rated at 1250 milliwatts at 32 ohms. I didn't have any indication of what is the power rating at other ohmages, at other impedances, let's put it that way. But what I do know is that it's got more than enough power. I did notice that the volume until about halfway was one thing, and then from about halfway upwards, it seems that it well, apparently this is also some information that I was able to find. Apparently it switches into a high gain mode from around 60% volume, and so as to enable it to be able to handle better, more demanding headphones or earphones. In terms of sound, I found the sound smooth. I didn't sense any area to be more emphasized than others. Perhaps, and maybe this is my fault because I'm used to the hi-fi hip deck, and the hi-fi hip deck without the bass boost connected, well, just that's how I use it, by the way, anyway. But it just sounds warmer than the TK2. Okay. In terms of its overall presentation of vocals and soundstage and everything, I found everything very similar between the two amps. I didn't really perceive any difference between that and the hi-fi hip deck. Really, the only thing that I did notice was the bass on the hip decks just seems a little bit warmer, but there's plenty of extension. Yeah, there's no lack of extension or anything over here. The other thing that I did notice on the TK2 was while on the hip deck and other portable decks, I would say, there's a sense of an increase in volume straight away from low down and up. Because of the way the circuitry has been done, you feel that the volume kind of doesn't change much until about halfway, like I said, and then from 60% onwards, then you see some changes. But overall, I mean, for the $260 more or less that's being asked for it, which kind of falls into place with regards to other similar items being available. I mean, the hip deck, the version 2 costs around 200 as well, 200 odd. I guess it's good value for money. I guess it's a healthy recommendation. It would be nice if they had included some switches here to be able to do some selections. I mean, something along the lines of like the hip deck has, which is that switch that allows a better matching between the driver or the earphone and the actual amp. Not a bass boost. No, you don't need that. That would have been nice. I guess really that would be the only thing that I would say it would have been nice to have really included here, just simply because, or then it would be nice as well if actually they really took things one step further and they developed a kind of a software similar to the software available for the Q-Deluxe. And that, yes, that I guess would be the ideal. If Tri is listening to me right now, that's where I think you should go, is developing software that will enable the TK2 to be connected to an app on your phone or something, whatever, and you can adjust the living bejesus out of it. You can do whatever you feel like with it. You can control every single possible parameter, output, everything. That would be really, I think, the complement to an otherwise well executed DAC amplifier, which, by the way, you can also use it just as a DAC if you want. So you can use these outputs to connect up to an external amplifier, and that's basically it. I mean, there's not really much I can say. I guess that's about it. That's a wrap. So, timeless, P1 Plus, TK2, and I just touched up here briefly here on the Q-Deluxe on the latest model, the 9819. Still a great piece of equipment. Amazing for the $100 that this thing costs. There's really not much that can be put as a negative point against it. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you. Take care. See you soon.